In Activity 3, you're going to be designing an iPod. Open up Activity 3 in the CAD folder, and the very first thing you should do is go to File and Save. Give it your name and Activity 3. Save it in the Documents folder. Click Save. Now the easiest way to do this is to actually take an iPod and use some of the tools that we have to draw directly on top of the iPod. So let's take a look at first the outside of the iPod. It's a rectangular shape, but notice that it has rounded corners. So we're going to take the rounded corner rectangle tool that you used in Activity 1, and let's draw around the edge of this iPod. I'm clicking and holding down. I haven't let go yet. Notice the rounded corners don't match the iPod. By using the pointer and clicking on this little handle, you can change how rounded the corners are. That right there seems to be about the same thickness and radius as the iPod. Currently, this has a red outline on it. So I'm going to come over here and make sure that the pen is black. Let's move it over. But when you move it over, see, I can move it any way I want. I'm going to go up here and undo that move. And I'm going to hold the Shift key down as I move it over. So I'm pressing the Shift key, and now I'm moving it. Look at the arrow. It only allows me to move it to the left and to the right. I can't go up and down. The next thing we need to do is make a circle for the click wheel where you go from song to song. I think the easiest way is to do a 3-point circle. So we're going to click on one point and hold it. Click on another point, let go, and then click on one more point of the circle, and now I've got a perfect circle. Let's change that pen color back to black if you need to. And let's move that circle over as well, holding down the Shift key so you can't go up and down, and make sure it's centered on your iPod. We need to draw another circle. One. Oops, sorry. Let's zoom in here a little bit so we can see what we're doing. One. And hold it down. Two. Then find another point on the circle. Three. Make it black. And before I move it over, I'm also going to put in the words. So right up here it needs to say menu. M-E-N-U. Notice how my pen keeps staying on red, and every time I change it, it goes back for the next thing that I'm drawing. If I click off of that, so nothing is highlighted now. I clicked out here in the middle of nowhere, and come over here and make the pen black. From now on, everything will be black. So let's draw some of these triangles. Zoom in one more time. And I'm going to use the irregular polygon shape to draw the triangles. One. There's one triangle. There's two triangles. Let's do another one over here. There's a triangle there. And then one last one here for the play. Now let's zoom out and see if that looks right. Now I'm going to select all of that, so I can click on this one. I can actually hold down my shift key and click and drag. Oh, no, sorry. Click and drag, not with the shift key. So I kind of draw a square around it. Now I've got all of those objects and move them over using my shift key. The next thing we need to do is draw the square for the display. Let's move it over. And there's our iPod. I'm going to put a line across the top for the menu. And now we have an iPod. The next skill I want to teach you, however, is how to do dimensions. Dimensions allow the people that are building it or using it to see exactly how big it is. This is the dimension tool. This will show you the horizontal dimensions. So you use this to measure from side to side. So I'm going to click on this tool, and I'm going to click right here on the iPod because we want to measure from this side to this side and then move it up. Now, so that people don't get confused and can't tell the difference between the dimension lines and the actual objects, let's click on that dimension line and change it to a different color. And we'll change it to red. Do the same thing with the display so we know how thick the display is going to be. We'll go back and change all these colors later. This is the vertical dimension. So now we can measure how tall it is. And I'm clicking on each of the points. If I make a mistake, I can always hit the escape key and it starts over. Let's measure this circle here from the top to the bottom. Go off to the side. Now I want to move that one out farther, so I'm going to click on the arrow. Move it out farther so I can do another one on the inside. Now, let's go back and change some of these lines to a different color. So I'm going to click on this one and make it red. Instead of doing one at a time, you can click on one, hold the shift key down, click on another one, and click all of them and make them red all at the same time. If you want for an even more professional view, you can click on one of the dimension objects and move the lines farther out. This way they're not actually touching the object, but they're showing you what they're measuring. Make sure you keep it at the right dimension, because you could move it out longer. Okay, now all of them are dimensioned. Make sure you're saving every few minutes in case something goes wrong. Use the type key to type in your name and project and date, and then have the teacher approve it before printing this out.